before I went in the Air Force, I rode with Newell, Patty's father. He was a pilot, and I became impressed with people that were pilots, and that guided me to join the Air Force. Although I didn't fly in the Air Force, I was studying the navigational aids that were used, and I was around aviation people.
And you had to teach other boys or men how to fly.
And so when I went to work for FAA, that was one of the reasons I wanted to work for them. I wanted to be around aviation. And there was a guy that would fly these airplanes, and I would talk with him. He gave me rides. It was the Hercules Flyer Club. Hercules was headquartered in Magna, but then they moved operation, I think, to Texas. And so the guys that were in the flying club were wanting to sell their interest. They had 3 aircraft, a Piper Colt, a Cessna 172, and a Cessna 182. And so I told this one guy was not going with Magna, with Hercules. He was going to stay. He says, "Why don't you form FAA Flying Club?" And so I had no idea how to do it, but I started and found 100 FAA guys that wanted to join, and also this one guy that had been in Hercules flyers, and he was a lot of help to me because the airplane still had a loan, so we had to take care of that. And there was quite a bit to setting up. How do you check out the guys who are members to see if they're safe to fly our airplanes? But I didn't have my pilot's license, but I talked to one guy that was going to join the club, and he was a flight instructor. And I said, "How much would you charge me? I want to get a license quickly. It'll help in organizing this club." And he said, "If you'll give me a 5th of whiskey, I'll take you through to a license." He had a business, and he needed to fly to certain areas, and he said, "Will you do that?" I said, I don't care where I go when I'm learning to fly. So I got my license in a couple of weeks, and went ahead and the one thing that really helped was that I had every guy that was joining have an area of responsibility. The guys from Flight Standards, they would make sure we had all the certification and everything. And when it came time to make recommendations for the Syracuse program, the head FAA guy in Salt Lake said that one of the reasons he could give me a high recommendation is that I organized that FAA flying club, and he said that takes a lot of organizational skills. So I think you'd be a good one for training. But during my flying time, I'd fly up to Aberdeen, and Newell and I'd go out flying, and I'd let him fly. He loved to fly. And I would give all the Clement family rides, and took Lyle and Karen up. So that organizing that club, I didn't think it was such a big deal, but it helped me in getting jobs later on. I had that experience, and the church probably helped me more than anything else. It was like being an elders quorum president and organizing things. But it turned out really good, and we let those that came into the club, they put $1,000 a piece in. They could pay $500, then had a year to get the other $500, and they could sell their membership. I sold mine when we left Salt Lake, but I loved to fly, and even after we left, we didn't have the flying club. I would rent aircraft, and Grandma and Mark and Shura and we'd fly to Aberdeen. We enjoyed flying. Mark was pretty good at keeping us on course. So I haven't flown for a while, and I won't fly unless I'm flying enough that I can keep sharpness in flying. Pilots auger in when they don't fly enough to keep current. So I love to fly.
Great story.